We really have to cure that. Yes. And if you say as a standalone, yes, he really can't do that all by himself.
Yes.
And we have loads of so many other elections still to come, exactly, and so many other issues that we have to address, exactly, that will be needing the police.
Exactly.
How can we, away from just one man, the
yes,
IG, how yes, can the police be helped out of that dire
I think
situation?
We can look at it from three angles. First, the institutional angle, that he presently as an IG should build an institution and not build his reputation, not try to look like a good person. He should build an institution that when he leaves, the next person coming in will build on what he has built. The second perspective is that whatever complaints that are brought forward against any police officer should be handled clean and clear without fear of favor. Thirdly is that you must have good leadership. Leadership should flow from the top down the line. That example of leadership will go a long way in instilling into people, instilling into the police officers the need to always stand straight. We saw what happened during the Buhari Jagbon era. We saw how, in fact, even where we were all caned, as it were, we were whipped into line, as it were. But we saw that there were some forms of some elements of compliance with civilization. If we can look at that situation and we agree to that fact that such things happen, then we can accept the fact that where there is a good institutional approach, where there is good leadership, we may still have such situations coming to the fore presently. Not just about good intentions, it's about building institutions.
Now, how did the people do it in Edo State? For instance, the Edo North Out, you talked about how were they able to monitor the votes after casting their ballots on that particular day? And we know it takes about an hour, yes, drive from that area to Benin City, yes, where those ballot papers had to come.
Yes,
so
yes,
the people monitored everything from
yes,
that?
Yes, from reports, yes, from the feelers we got, from some of the observers that we sent down to Edo State. What happened was that they counted their votes at the polling booths. Before the ballot boxes are removed from polling booths, the results were already known and declared. So there was no way you could go to the next returning center and alter the results. So there was that to that extent. To an extent, you don't even need to go to the next returning center. However, even at the next returning center, there were still very strong what I'll call shine your eye agents, who were already armed with information from the polling booths, who already knew what the results were, and who were waiting for the ballot boxes to arrive, and whose results also confirmed what the results that were brought. So the system itself showed some forms of transparency and compliance with some of the electoral regulations. But that is not to say that INEC would not have misbehaved had they not been properly policed.
So you will not say that INEC should share in the victory of the people?
No, I think INEC should not share in the victory presently, because it is not about JEGA, it's about the institution of INEC. INEC doesn't need to be policed to perform. I mean, it should be a natural tendency. In fact, anybody who is against performance within INEC, the system itself should be able to purge it naturally without more. But we are still to get to that point. That is why I am saying that INEC should not yet sing Uhuru. INEC's comparative advantage presently is just because of the sentiments that emanated from the post-Iwu era. Because there was a need, there was a sentiment to run away from that decadence that was Iwu's era. We saw something close to comparative goodness, and that was how the credibility, so to speak, of JEGA came to the fore, and it appeared that the system was okay. The system is not okay, it's just a comparative advantage.
I want us also to explore statements and people who would want to talk about body language. Specifically, let's talk about the president. Remember then he was in Edo State and he talked about one man, one vote, and votes must count. Yes. Even though some other people in the opposition then did say, well, it looks like your body language isn't going to conform with what you just said. Yes. At the end of the day, we have seen that it looks like that is counted, votes counted, and he was one of those that congratulated the governor first. What kind of politics are we getting into now?
Well, I had opportunities to speak on the pronouncement of the president when he went to Edo State to campaign. I think we must give it to the president for him to have come out openly to say that he is assuring Edo indigents that there will be no rigging, there will be no ballot snatching, and there will be no violence in the election. And as we have seen the results, his statements came to pass. That is a far departure, a far cry from what we had seen previously, when we saw the election must be won do or die. So I think we must give it to the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria presently. In spite of the underhand politics that may have gone on, apparently what we can see is that he made a declaration, he made a statement, and to a large extent he kept faith to his statement. And we saw the results presently. I think we should give it to him. The politics there, we know that he is a PDP person and he cannot run away from that tag of PDP, from that toga of PDP. However, he is also the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As a PDP president, he had come to campaign for PDP and made the pronouncements. As a president of Nigeria, he sent in military officers to man the elections, and the results came out, and there were very few reports of ballot box snatching. And this is just about the people, not about INEC. From INEC's perspective, we saw fake voters register.
Considering that the candidate who won in this election is winning for the second time, this time at the polls, declared winner, would you say that Nigeria Labour Congress and even Labour unions should have a more active role to play in throwing up candidates for elections? Absolutely
so. Absolutely so. In fact, the problem with Nigerian politics is lack of ideology. I mean, we as citizens should be able to say this is the kind of ideas we like for our government to run. And we have choices. The idea of free health, the idea of a little tax for health, the idea of a little tax for education, the idea of free housing, the idea of a little tax for housing, the idea of labor inclined policies. These are ideologies that ought to be given to us as citizens for us to make a choice, for us to make choices from. So I think that Labour should be more involved in the politics and create an ideological balance and give us an ideological option so that we will look at what they have on ground and say these people are conservatives, these people are liberalists, and these people are Democrats, and these people are Labour. And so we decide what kind of governments we want at each strata of government. So I think Labour should do well to be involved more in politics and not just join any other political party or just for the sake of contesting election. They should form their political alliances in line with the Labour ideology like we find in civilized climes.
What would you be looking to see in the next 4 years?
Wow, are you speaking about Edo State or general Nigeria?
Say Edo State, let's be more specific.
Well, I think there should be some form of consolidation of the actions of the comrade governor. We knew of the preceding situation before he became governor, and we saw what happened. We've seen the popular saying that has become a popular saying, so to speak, now emanating from Edo State, that if your son fails to paint your house as it were, or renovate your house or restructure your house for you, and a stranger comes and does it for you, won't you regard that stranger as part of your children? So if comrade governor has done so much for Edo State's images, we think that in the next 4 years he should consolidate, build on good governance, build on the deliverables of democratic dividends, and ensure that by the time he's leaving office, he is passing a good baton to the person coming behind him.
Well, Ikechukwu Ikeji, before you go, we want you to also vote on this INEC conduct of the particular election. Mark asked Aremu to do that, and he was, well, I don't know, but at the end of the day, he said below average. He didn't want to use the word poor. How would you score INEC conduct in the Edo election?
I would say fairly poor. In terms of scoring, I'll score them a 40-45. Previously when Iwu was there, you could give them a minus because they were complete disgust to the system. But now they may not be on the pass mark level, but they've come a long way, and we can only work towards improvement.